Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Friday, the 28th of January. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined, as ever, by Joshua Barrie. How are we doing, Joshua?
Good, Derek. Been enjoying watching some Ahmad Diallo over the past 10 hours, as everyone else has been, I'm sure. So, not all good on my end.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll talk about him very shortly indeed. Before we do that, if you're watching us on YouTube, if you haven't already done so, just hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a video when we go live. And we've also got a fantastic offer on just now where it's just £1 for the entire 6 months if you subscribe to the Rangers Review. And if you subscribe, you also enter into a draw for a signed first team shirt as well. So a cracking offer we've got on just now. Just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Okay, let's talk about the big news yesterday, Joshua. Rangers do like to keep their transfer business in-house. They don't really make a song and dance about it until the player is signed and sealed and posing with the jersey, and that appears to be the case with Ahmad Diallo, a loan deal from Manchester United until the end of the season. This is a boy that's very highly rated at Old Trafford. They signed him for £37 million from Atalanta. It's quite staggering, really. They've got high hopes for him, and Rangers have managed to bring him in the door. Right winger, of course, as well. You've done a little bit of research on him. Can give us your reaction to that arrival?
Yeah, we have been saying the last few days, haven't we, that I wouldn't worry if there's not too much noise about transfers, because that seems to be the way the club like to do things. And, you know, Ross Wilson said when Ahmad was unveiled that they'd been working on it for some time, but it was a case of being patient with it. He had other options. Be interesting whether, I guess, the style of football that he's going to play at Ibrox in terms of the amount of time he'll have on the ball, responsibility as a winger, came into it. But yeah, I think a really exciting transfer on the surface. I mean, any player that's worth that much money, Derek, and I know you can talk about inflated prices and yes, you can say that he's young and he's not proven and all these things, but technically he's going to be at a really, really high level. And I guess the only worry is, you know, he's not played much football, but every young player is in that position at some stage and needs either a loan or under 23 football, which I'm sure I know he's played plenty of. And his size, and I guess I spoke to a United fan analyst who was saying that he can use that to his advantage when defenders are over aggressive with him. And then if you watch him, the way he kind of understands space and moves into it, I think is really intelligent. But yeah, on the surface, a really, really exciting signing. Hard not to get excited about a signing when he, you know, when he was signed by United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer called him one of the world's most exciting young players. So I don't think it's a question of, you know, is he going to be good enough to play for Rangers? It's more how will he, you know, live up to expectation? Will he be able to kind of combat the nature of away games like tomorrow? But yeah, really exciting signing on the surface, and it addresses the right wing area, which has been in need of a consistent starter for some time now.
Yeah, as Martin Booth points out, Joshua, straight into the team, straight into the matchday squad for the trip to Ross County. You'd imagine he starts. I think, does he start? In fact, does he come off the bench, do you reckon?
I'd start him. I mean, I think, again, there is that risk of, you know, he is, because he's a £37 million player, supporters will have to you know, tread a little bit carefully with him in terms of not expecting him to go and score a hat-trick right away. But equally, he's going to be here to play football. You know, I don't think personally there's a chance that he sits on the bench all that much, because when United have spent that much money on a player, and he played, I think, 8 times for the United first team last season. You know, it was in and around the first team picture, seems to have fallen out of favour a bit under Ranić. Only played, I think, once this season against young boys in the Champions League. But yeah, I think put him in, and you know, the reason I say that is that, well, I think he will, because he put Sands. I know Sands had more time with the squad, but in terms of first game, he put him in at Pittodrie right away. There's not really, who else do you play in that right wing position tomorrow? I guess maybe Fashion Sakala, maybe play him along with Ryan Kent on the left wing. But he's here to play games. I think it gives all the supporters a lift. You know, we had Stevie Clifford writing on the site yesterday morning about the need to address the kind of need for a player in that position, and a few hours later it happened. So I didn't know Stevie held such influence, but not surprised. But he's right in saying that, you know, a signing like that really does give everyone a lift. I remember when Hadji was signed, and although Hadji's wasn't to the same degree of a player that had been bought for that much at that young, but there was still a real excitement about an exciting European youngster coming to Ibrox. So yeah, obviously have to wait and see how it plays out. But on the surface of it, I think all the excitement about it is pretty justified. As I say, probably just have to be mindful that, like any footballer player, you'll have bad games, undoubtedly, and because of his price tag, he will be expected to, as I say, hit the ground running tomorrow. Maybe just needs to give him a little bit of time.
Yeah, it's a massive coup. There's no doubt about it. I love the dedication to this programme, Joshua. John Dooley says, good morning, Derek and Joshua from my hairdressers. Just had my haircut and now waiting for the wife getting her hairdo. That's absolutely fantastic stuff. I love the dedication, John.
That's great.
And he also asked a question here. Have you seen the rumour about James Mcatee?
Yeah.
That was doing the rounds last night as well. Of course, 19-year-old midfielder from Manchester City, highly rated as well. Rangers apparently in discussions about possibly bringing him in on loan, as well as a number of other clubs looking to do so. What do you make of this rumour that's doing the rounds at the moment, Joshua?
Yeah, well, I guess the question is, and it's something you might put to the man speaking to the manager soon after this, is the intention now to, you know, with Diallo, Ahmad Diallo there, is the starting 11 pretty set? Because if you think of that front five: Kamara, Aribo, Kent, Ahmad, Morelos, who've I missed? I think that's it. That's front five, isn't it? I counted right. If you add a sixth player in there that's, you know, at the number 8 position, and Arfield, I think, has done brilliant, but you know, with Bacuna going out, there's a lack of depth behind him. That's a really, really exciting kind of forward six. Adding Tavernier and Barisic in moments to that. So yeah, I think Mcatee, again, I've not watched any of them, but from what I've heard, would be a really exciting signing. Again, you're probably seeing some of Van Bronckhorst's influence, having worked in the City group, coming through. Also, an interesting point I seen made on Twitter yesterday was, does the fact that Dave Voss, who has obviously quite the pedigree with developing young players, the fact that he's at Rangers come into the picture when you're being linked with these young players, or in the case of Ahmad Diallo, getting him into the club, maybe so. I don't think it can be a bad thing. So I would still expect another player to come in that number 8 position, and maybe one to come in and be a starter, and maybe one to come in and provide a little bit of competition. But certainly with Bacuna going out, there's the need for that, need for a bit more depth in that position, isn't there?
Yeah, absolutely. I spoke to a friend of mine down here, a former coach at Manchester City, who spoke highly of Mcatee, but he says there's no point coming on for 10 minutes here and there for the first team and having impressing and cameos. He has to go out on loan and sort of cut his teeth, if you like, and learn the hard way, if you like there. So I'll be interested to see if Rangers do make a move for him. Of course, the transfer window closes on Monday, so stay tuned to the Rangers Review site for all the latest on all the transfer targets and movement before Monday. Of course, another player who's been heavily linked in the window has been the Dutch defender Danilo Dokai of Vitesse Arnhem. Apparently on the verge of making a decision about his future. Apparently Rangers and the Croatian side Dinamo Zagreb are the front runners to take over his contract in the summer. What do you make of that, Josh? He's a player that's been heavily linked to Rangers. I think by all accounts he's another highly rated player. Could possibly be a replacement for Connor Goldson if he were to leave in the summer. And a decision expected very shortly indeed. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, I guess if he signed, it's going to be either him signing or Goldson leaving. And although it seems like a foregone conclusion now that Goldson will leave, obviously there's not been any confirmation. So there's always a possibility, isn't there, Derek? But I imagine the wages he'd come in on, and with Haaland, they're still contracted, and obviously Suter coming into the club, that would put an end to that. I think as a defender, he would fit in at Ibrox. And he's not as good on the ball as Goldson, although I think Goldson is, you know, those diagonals that he can play are above average probably for the type of centre back you normally buy for £3 million. But just in terms of how he can defend high up the pitch, that was what stood out to me when I did a scout report on him back at the start of this month, which feels honestly about 10 weeks ago or something. January's been very long, but yeah, no, I think that's the kind of the notable thing is comfort in defending like that. It almost seems as preference. A lot of the time you'll see when a defender's caught high up the pitch and say his team are trying to pressurise an opponent, keep them in. You'll naturally want to fall back and stagnate the opponent as he runs forward. But Dokai just seems to love latching onto them and winning those aggressive duels, and had a really good success rate, which I can't remember off the top of my head. And captained his team in the Eredivisie at the age of just 23. So I think he'd be a really exciting signing, and I'm sure for him as well, the opportunity to hopefully play Champions League football and play for a club the size of Rangers would be really appealing as well. So I would be happy on the surface if that was the player that came in to replace Connor Goldson. Guess it's just interesting what the first choice centre back pairing is viewed as. Is it Dokai and Hollander? Does Suter come in on the left side of that back four? How do you balance the kind of ball playing element of it? Calvin Bassey for me has been really good at centre back, but I thought you saw on Wednesday night some limitations in him bringing the ball at the back, and Livingston kind of trapped him a few times going into that midfield, didn't they? So it'll be interesting to see how that centre-back position develops.
Yeah, there's an interesting question here from Scott McCready. Thanks, Scott. Do you think Kamara to Villa will happen this month, and what fee should we be happy with? Of course, Aston Villa reportedly interested in Glenn Kamara as an alternative. They are also targeting Yves Bissouma from Brighton, and Rodrigo Bentancur as well from Juventus. But apparently Kamara is on their wanted list as well. Joshua, what sort of fee would it take for Steven Gerrard to prize him away from Ibrox before Monday?
I think quite a lot of money, because it's contract, isn't it? A lot of money. I don't think it will happen. I think you look at the type of players linked linked with Bentancur, obviously a Juventus player and a really nice player on the ball. I don't know. I mean, I've watched Villa a couple of times, and the midfield to me has always looked pretty. They've got McGinn there, Ramsey as well, who is a good young player. So I don't know if it's the sixth position they're looking to bring someone in at. But I don't think that'll happen, because I don't think Rangers would sell a first team player at this stage, probably when they don't need to. Especially, it's not an area of the pitch where you've got loads of options, or loads of reliable options at the moment, apart from Kamara. If you were left in that number 6 role with Lundstram and Sands, I don't think many supporters would be happy at this stage, given the kind of, I know Sands has been here 20 minutes, and that's not a criticism, but that's the point. He hasn't proved himself yet, and Kamara is obviously so integral to this side and can do so many different things. All that as well. It's just in that midfield position, Derek. It was really good to see Ryan Jack back out there, not just from a I'm sure it's good for him point of view and a real relief, but I thought he made an impact when he came on. You forget how I always forget how much he improved as a player over those years under Gerrard in terms of moving play forward, moving the team forward. Always plays with a high tempo, and he could be I think a really important player over the next, up until I think the 5th of March. There's a game every few days, and having Jack ready for those fixtures, I think could be really, really important over the next few weeks.
Yeah, it's the old saying, it's like a new signing, but fingers crossed that Ryan Jack is over his injury nightmare, you'd have to say, and he gets a good run of games now. Interesting question from James McAlpine here. Should we be tying up Arfield for another few years? You can see what he brings to the squad on and off the pitch. I think that goal the other night hasn't done him any harm, Joshua. It was world class. I think Rangers would be doing well to tie him down. Of course, there was interest earlier on in the month. Apparently, Turkish clubs keeping tabs on him. And, of course, he is free to speak to other clubs. He is out of contract in the summer. For me, his form under Giovanni van Bronckhorst has been really good. I think it makes sense to tie him down.
Yeah, and he's kind of, you look at where he was in November, there was a period of time, Derek, where he'd hardly played. I think he came on at the end of a 1-1 draw with Motherwell for one of his first appearances in a while, and the former regime had mentioned how he'd started to be trained again like Scotty Arfield, and there was obviously injury issues at the start of the season. To come back and have such an impact under the new manager is full credit to him. Seemed an important member of the squad, reliable, good numbers in terms of his expected goals, always really high. Yeah, another year seems a no-brainer. A few years I think is generous given his age, but certainly another year I think is no-brainer. And even if he does only come and play 20 games next season, I think as a member of the squad, he'd be really important and a guaranteed good egg, which is no bad thing in a dressing room, probably. So, yeah, another year for me would be sensible. And I think Stephen Davis and Al McGregor have set the precedent of how players who you think this must be their last season, but they keep going, how they can be really valuable, as they were in particular last season, and as McGregor's continuing to be this season.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's move on then to looking ahead to Ross County. Joshua, Peter Buchanan says, what team do you think will start tomorrow? You've already said you think Diallo will walk straight into the team. I think that is one change. Cedric Eaton, I think, may drop out with Kemar Roof possibly taking his place. We'll have our predicted lineups that will go out tomorrow morning on the site, folks. You can have a look in greater detail. But those are the two changes I think that I would make to the side. Possibly James Sands dropping out as well, with Scott Arfield coming back in.
Yeah, and I guess you've got to look forward ahead to Wednesday. Saturday lunchtime is not Sunday afternoon, a little bit more recovery time. But will Roof start 2 games in quick succession, having not started in a while? I don't know. Is the plan then at Celtic Park to go with the pace of Sakala through the middle? I don't think it can be Itten. I don't think Itten's done enough to really hold that place. I know he's only had a couple of games, but I think when he doesn't offer that threat in behind, there's a little bit of a limit. Although having Joe Rebo back in the middle will be such a boost to everyone. Obviously scored that fantastic curling goal the last time we were up at Dingwall. But yeah, I think for me, I think Ahmad Diallo will come in, and maybe something tells me Ryan Jack might start Terek. I don't know if that's I don't know if that's my off sixth sense. But yeah, we'll have to come back in greater detail tomorrow, because 100 names are going through my head and I can't put them into a formula. Yeah, Jack maybe, and Diallo, but as I say, I think it will be very much with a view to what is the plan on Wednesday. And if Roof's going to play on Wednesday, I don't think he starts tomorrow. You could maybe see Sakala start through the middle on one of these occasions. I think that front three, Sakala, Kent and Diallo, although might need a little bit more kind of link up in the middle to knit it together. It's exciting on the surface, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. Very much looking forward to the game at lunchtime tomorrow. If you're making your way up to Dingwall, and you are, Joshua, then hopefully you enjoy the game, the spectacle that's put on by Rangers, and let's hope that Ahmad Diallo has a great debut if he plays in the match itself. Thanks to everyone, as ever, for getting in touch with the programme. It is very much appreciated. If you haven't already done so, if you're watching us on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. And also, if you're heading over to the Rangers Review site, we've got a great offer on. It's just £1 for an entire 6-month period. And when you subscribe now, you also get entered into a prize draw for a signed Rangers first team jersey. So a cracking offer on just now. Ends at the end of the month. To support top quality journalism covering the club you love, just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Okay, Joshua's away to speak to Giovanni van Bronckhorst now. We'll bring you all the fallout from that on the Rangers Review site. Enjoy the game if you're heading up there at the weekend, folks, and we'll be back on Monday to review Saturday and look ahead to the big one on Wednesday. Until then, bye for now.